Right, guys, what's going on? AV.WATCHMEN, and you guys are tuned into AV United We Stand. So today I'm going to be meeting up with Jeff Figueroa, and this is going to be the story about his daughter, Monique Figueroa.
Hi, today is the anniversary of 6 years from my daughter being reported missing, and I would like to get my story out to the public. I feel that after 6 years I have nothing, no closer to this case being closed at all since the day I filed. From the day I filed, I have had nothing but mishandling of the case in my eyes and my family's eyes. So I'm going to give you a little bit of the story, what I have found to be. It started when I filed in 2015, her missing. The first day, no detectives came. I went and filed, and they said that they have to wait till they can get a detective that was able to come out here, because the only detective that was able to come out needed to get a ride because he was on administrative desk duty. So evidently that was a red flag. He was in trouble. So I waited a couple days. Detective Rios shows up, introduces himself. I explain a little bit of what's going on in the case and ask, if he could help locate my daughter. I gave him all the information I had, where she was last, everything pertinent to this case. So he said he would get back with me. Like a week goes by, I don't hear nothing from nobody. Now, mind you, this is a holiday weekend just like it is now, and I'm not getting any action with it. No police, detectives. So meanwhile, I'm doing my own detective work and trying to find out spots possibly where she had been, or maybe who talked to her, and I'm not getting very much anywhere. So I got a little information tip. This guy was claiming on the internet that he knew where Monique was, and I had somebody communicate with him on the internet, and he was affiliated with the gang called AGK. He wasn't in AGK, but he was affiliated with them, as far as I knew. So I talked to him a couple times on the phone, because I don't do internet communication, and he just said that even on the internet he had wrote on there that she was getting her lumps, her boobops. And I asked him, what does he mean by that? And he goes, she'll be fine, she'll be home soon. So I relayed this to the police department. They took no action over it, and weeks had been going by, and we were still communicating, and still my daughter wasn't home. And then come to find out that this detective Rios, there was a conflict of interest in this case. Come to find out, Detective Rios was having a relationship with one of the suspects' wife. So this guy Mario that was communicating to me on the internet, evidently his wife was having some sort of relationship with the wife. So immediately I said something, and I didn't hear back from Detective Rios again. I don't know what happened, but make it a long story shorter, that Mario was arrested for a whole different non-related case and never to be talked to again. Supposedly he went to jail for unrelated reasons, so therefore we never got any communication about what happened to my daughter. He just clammed up and stopped talking. So they sent another detective in. That was weeks later. I meet another detective, Detective Karen Shanka and Wayne Holston. So we introduce ourselves and we go through the stories of what I had told the first detective. And meanwhile, you got to understand, time is of its essence here, and my daughter isn't being located. All the information I keep giving these detectives, now these detectives are from Los Angeles. That's an hour and a half ride one way. They claimed that there is no homicide division in Antelope Valley. So they don't even have a desk. They have nothing to work out of. They have to come with pen and paper in hand and take information and go back to LA. I thought that was pretty hinky. So I've been trying to communicate on and off with these detectives, and come to find out, they just weren't very responsive to my situation, my daughter being missing under suspicious circumstances at first. And I asked them, what have they come up with? Well, they never came up with anything. They said that they'd give everybody in the family a lie detector test, me, my granddaughter's father, that side of the family, but nobody's ever been tested for lying. So I would just like to say that this has been going on for a few years now. People have been given information from the public to the sheriff's department, and Shanka, which is the lead detective on the case, has not been very good at working this case in my eyes. She has no information. All the time I talk to her, I have to do all the communication calling her. She never texts me. I have many communications online saying, where are you? I want to talk to you. And she doesn't even contact me back. I have that all documented. Now, I'd just like to reiterate on some of the stuff. I know this is going to be a short interview, and there's just so much to say in this interview that I'd like to get out there, but you could write a book on it. I just want to let the public know that I thank them for continuously trying to give information for me to give to Shanka, and I promise you I have been giving it to her. And I believe this information is not even getting listened to, because Detective Shanka has reassured me many times that she has talked to the person that gave me the information. I've gave him the phone number, and she's even in as far as saying she contacted him. It didn't pan out. And then I've recontacted the people and asked them if they have talked to her, and they said absolutely not. She's never contacted us. And I'm like, wow. So I've called her on it, and she goes, no, they're lying. I've talked to them, and it just didn't pan out. And I'm going, well, so somebody's lying. They got nothing to lie about. So that's just many of the conversations I've had with her. And I've reported it to her Lieutenant Holstein. I just want to say that we've written many letters asking for different detectives to put out on the case, because I feel that this case has had so much negligence in it that it's just unbelievable. So I would like to ask for the public's help, because this is going on 6 years now. Come to find out that she's going to be retiring in December. Now, this lieutenant of hers has promised me that he would put different detectives on this many times, and he hasn't done it. Now he claims he never said it. That's not true. I just want to let the public know it's not true. So now it's going into a cold case file. But let me tell you something that might shock you. 2 years after my daughter's disappearance, a friend of mine contacted me and asked me if I wanted to give DNA to the DNA bank. That's a national data bank, Nemesis, which the detective should have done that the first week she was on the case, because the National Data Bank is just that. It gets DNA on file. If my daughter was ever picked up in some other state in a different case, there was maybe found remains, they can identify her. This is 2 years into my daughter's case. I contacted Nemesis and asked them, are you sure that this detective has never filed a DNA with you guys? Absolutely sure. I said, you would swear on that in court? They said, absolutely. You're the first person that's contacted us. And we'd be more glad to take your DNA samples in order to put it on record for her. I said, great. Where do I meet you? Well, we met him, my family, my son, me, and my ex-wife. We all met the detectives. We met 2 detectives in Hesperia, California. And we did DNA swabs and we presented it to them. Now it can be on file. But you want to ask yourself a question. For those 2 years, any bodies or remains that were ever found, you got to ask yourself, well, was there any paperwork done trying to backtrack maybe the possible bodies that she'd already been recovered? Because that has to be actually filed. And nothing. That is, if that is negligence on the detective's part for my daughter's behalf, I don't know what is. I believe there should be grounds for some sort of termination, because this is my daughter's life. We want closure. Like I said many times, we have had information that seemed to be pretty credible. I know all information isn't credible, but I get tired of hearing it's too long of a drive or that didn't pan out, when I double check with the people and find out that it was never even conversed about. So it kind of makes me feel like, and my family, that somebody doesn't want to do their job because they don't have to, they don't want to. Maybe there's other reasons why, because this case happens to be involved with another case prior to this. 2 people were murdered by the same people that we felt that were involved out of this AGK group. And that would be a David McKell and a Richard Rocha. They were involved in the Montclair murders. Okay? So we want to know what's going on. Karen Shanka took Rocha and McKell and put them into a cell together for 18 hours. McKell said he would get Rocha to talk to where possibly Monique was at. Well, for 18 hours he sat in a cell and they only sign language each other and whispered. And she asked my opinion if she could do this and what my thoughts were on it, and I told her it was a bad idea. These are jailhouse guys. They're not going to be honest with you. They're going to get their story straight, and you gave them all that opportunity to do that. So 18 hours went by and she said she got nothing, she had been had. That's another bad thing in my book that went wrong, terribly wrong in this case. Now, you got to ask yourself a question. Is there another reason why this case is just being mishandled? I think so. My daughter claims when David McKell got arrested that that they had taken money from Palmdale Sheriff's Department and a bunch of dope. And I don't believe it was ever put into the holding. So you gotta ask yourself, you know, is there some sort of conspiracy going on that maybe somebody's taking dope and money and keeping their mouth shut? or what is going on. Now, I've asked Karen Shanka about another suspect in the case that was supposedly on witness protection program, and she said she can't talk about it. Well, I believe he's one of the persons that was talking about the convictions of the other two murders. Well, they arrested my daughter when they arrested David McMichael, and the way it looks like to me, the cops arrested my daughter for no reason, thinking only maybe she would talk about the case. Well, she told them she had no information to give them, and they went ahead and didn't file any charges, but I paid for a bail bondsman, and when I took her to court for the court case, there was no court case. How does that look down to a bad guy's eyes? That looks like somebody was telling on somebody. My daughter, I assure you, was not telling. But the cops sure made it look like it, because 2 weeks later she was missing. So, I just want to ask the public for their help, continued help. I need your help. The Sheriff's Department isn't helping me. I know the public has more information out there. This is my daughter. If this is where your daughter, your son, your cousin, your uncle, you would be more than glad to help. My daughter really needs closure in this case. I'm not so much caring about who did it or why they did it. I just want my daughter's remains brought home so we can have closure. But if there's negligence going on, I think the people that are involved in the negligent case should be prosecuted. Maybe we can have a lawyer step up and help me with this prosecution. Maybe there is a case of negligence to be brought. And there is so much more information I have, and I just don't have time. Like I said, we could write a book on this. I didn't rehearse this. This is just straight out of my head. There is times and dates and stuff that are very accurate. Now, I have something else to say that's very accurate that the Sheriff's Department has not acted on, and it's very significant to this case, where my daughter was the day she disappeared. She was at my nephew's house. My nephew states he don't remember much. He was too high on drugs, and well, he left his phone at my house, and 2 years later, I decided to kind of look through it. I looked through it. Guess what? I found a song in there on his playlist that he sung 8 days before her disappearance, stating to the fact that she was being kidnapped and murdered. So, if you were just a stranger listening to this tape, you would pretty much be under the pretense that somebody knew this was happening before it happened. And do you think the Sheriff's Department has come to receive this evidence? No. No. I sent them a recording of the song. I have not given them the evidence yet because in fear of being lost. They have not come to recover nothing. This is 8 days before her disappearance, plainly singing that she was kidnapped and murdered. You be the judge of that, because someday I'll play that for you guys on the air, and you be the judge of that. But I just want to ask the public over and over again, please help me. Help my family. We need closure. Here's another instance. My last interview was presented, and then I said I was going to make another one, but I was going to actually make another one a lot sooner, but I held off because there was some information that I know that Detective Shanka had, and it was actually presented to her a year and a half prior, but she claims that she had wrote it down wrong, and it's just impossible because it's on a letterhead that was sent to her. It was on pictures that I sent to her, and I was going to let her go with it and let her reissue issue the warrant and go there and dig. Well, that's been, what, a few months since I did my last interview, and she's had that. She hasn't acted upon that whatsoever. So there's another issue of negligence in my book. Why hasn't she acted on it? These people are saying exactly where she's at and what they know. All you got to do is check. All you got to do is check. So therefore, please, again, I need the public's help. Whether you're a lawyer, you got some information on helping me. I'm not very schooled on getting through this stuff as far as laying down a lawsuit. Maybe you got more information. Maybe you can help me. Because we all know that'll get some bells going. Please help me. Please, people. My family needs help. I thank the public for what help you have given, and I am truly sorry for the public's help that you didn't get any help because of the detectives. Over and over I have covered for them and said that I'll get to the bottom of this, I'll get to the bottom of this. Well, I'm sorry, but this detective's retiring in December. This case went into cold case because of this detective. Now, Catherine Barber's office has been good to me and Monique. They have renewed the reward right every time I request it. Very, very good. But all the other departments we send letters to, we get rejected. They don't say they want anything to do with it, to call another department, write another department. But nobody wants to take this issue in hand and go with it. I need somebody to show me how to get this done. Whether it be the American Civil Liberties Union, whether it be a lawyer's office, I need help. I had a detective agency offer to help me. They taught detective work. They got shut down. Shanka said if they worked with me, they would never work with them in any other cases. This was a school that taught this. They offered their help, pro bono. They came to me and said, we're going to have to shut this down because we have other cases working with the sheriff's department. We can't afford to lose all the other cases because of this one. I asked her about it. She said, yep, she shut them down. I begged her. A year and a half later, I still was asking her, please. Well, she finally said, yes, go ahead. Well, when I got a hold of the detective agency, they didn't want nothing to do with it. It was too iffy of a situation. They weren't willing to ruin their business. So now I have nothing. Nothing but the public. Please, give me your help. I thank you all for listening, and I will have more. I have lots more. I just never pre-recorded it, ran it down, and wrote it down. This is straight out of my head. I am nervous, and I just want to let you know that I will do everything the rest of my life to make sure that I bring my daughter home. And I thank you for listening to my statements. Thank you. She was a kid too, you know.
This is from church?
Yeah, this is from church.
That's one of Monique's?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Monique's.
That's awesome.
You know, she earned her letterman's jacket in high school. She coached the wrestling team, baseball team, football. She was their main stat girl. You know, she earned her letters on her letterman's jacket. She was very well known through all the high schools.
Right. Okay.
And if you ask any coach that's out there that's been in the high schools in Antelope Valley, they know of Monique Figueroa.
All right.
She was one of my kids. We do the duck races and stuff.
Oh, okay.
My family's involved in all the community service and, you know, pear blossom duck races and
right.
stuff like that. Riding. My daughter's been an avid rider on quads, motorcycles.
Some of these quads out here were hers, or?
Those are newer ones, but
Oh, okay.
you know, the older ones are already gone. All the other kids already have new ones. Well, the whole side is full of quads out there.
Oh, shoot. Okay.